everybody, Earl at thelogbook.com, back for a long delayed voyage of shelf discovery. You know what I miss? I miss this room that you see over here on the screen, including my corner full of toys and models of actual spacecraft. And we are going to add to that display. We're going to open this little guy and a substantially larger, slightly less little guy. First, as for the question, okay, what's up with the room? I am having to move, and so my wonderful happy place here is all in boxes. The lights are in boxes, the racks are broken down, everything on the racks is boxed up and ready to be moved. Still trying to find a place. It's been a process. It's been a very long process it's been a very long year because I've had health issues that I've had to stop prepping to move in order to deal with those. Still dealing with those, but apparently that is not going to stop the move from having to happen. So here we are. There's some space shuttles that I have had since I was a little kid. I was flying those little space shuttles around the room before actual space shuttles were flying, for the most part. I miss it. The great part about moving is I get to set it all back up again. So let's check in with the ground crew. See if everyone is ready to open some stuff. Here's Mercutio. I think he's good to go. He's always good to go. And he's so fuzzy. And he's wondering where his sister is. And I kind of am too. But she is on the ground crew, and there she is on the ground. Oh, it's Narissa. Hello. The ground crew is ready. And so are we. We are going to open both of these today. Now, this is all footage that was shot. If I'm not mistaken, I shot some of this New Year's Eve 2022. So it's been waiting a while to be put together, and I thought, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get it out the door. Get it done and get it out there. And hopefully we can resume, normal, regular voyages of shelf discovery on the flip side of the move. Now, the smaller of the two items, this is from a company called X-Car Toys in China. This is the Chinese Mars rover Zhurong, which landed right about the same time. It was in the same launch window. It was in the same transfer orbit with the Perseverance rover. And it's, as you can see, they gave it a little bit of attitude. That's cool. On the back, I'm guessing those are callouts showing what the features are on the actual rover. Not that I can read any of it. I've got some of my older Mars rovers on standby so we can kind of do the scale check. For right now, let's open Zhurong up. And get him out of the box. As you can see in one of the little TVs that's, part of our usual look of the show now, Zhurong actually placed a small camera on the surface and then rolled away from it, which is something that we had not had a Mars rover do before. And I'm guessing it was just, basically a radio link up with the rover and then sending that back to Earth. So we have the tray. It has it's kind of it's got a cover to it that we will peel off. And there's our Mars rover. For the sake of comparison with the two that you see in the background on the table, this is more or less like Hot Wheels sized. Maybe not Hot Wheels scale, but Hot Wheels sized. There is quite a bit of plastic to it, including the wheels, which do roll. And some of the upper details, like the camera mast, are also plastic. The body of it and kind of the upper surface with the solar panels, which is fantastically detailed, those are die-cast metal for the most part. So we'll grab our Hot Wheels Curiosity / Perseverance, because the Hot Wheels Curiosity and Perseverance rovers are basically the same thing with a slight color difference. And the Hot Wheels Sojourner, back from the celebration of the Mars Pathfinder mission in the 90s. It's probably pretty close to being in scale with the Hot Wheels Curiosity / Perseverance there. Sojourner is a much larger scale because it was a much smaller rover. Still, I mean, this is kind of neat to have this sort of sub collection, if you will. You know, I have a whole corner of the room devoted to toys and models of actual spacecraft, and here we are with kind of this subset of that collection, which is just Mars rovers. That's pretty cool. Looking at the detailing on Shirang, the detailing is actually quite nice. I am impressed. It's got a dish on the back. It's got the camera mount on the front. The body detailing, I mean, it's a box. It's there to carry everything else, and that's kind of how the actual vehicle is itself as well. The really cool detailing, though, is on the solar panels and on the surface, you know, the surface instrumentation. That is some very nice detailing for such a small model, small toy, whatever you want to call it. Now, the detailing on it is impressive. Now, the other thing we're going to be opening is quite a bit larger than Shirang. This is another, the Spirit and Opportunity, the Mars exploration rovers that served us so well in the first couple of decades of this century. It's a much larger model than Shirang. This is 1/18 scale. I think, if I remember correctly, your standard Hot Wheels scale is something like 1/64. This is 1/18, which is quite a bit larger. Now, in my collection, 1/18 scale is kind of a magic number. We'll get into the reasons for that later, but first, let's go ahead and break open this box. This is something that, again, was available generally in the Far East, and I bought this in 2022 from someone in Australia who had it. Nice little card with the kind of the engineering callouts. Very, very simplified engineering callouts. And giant slabs of styrofoam, because this is a large and kind of delicate model, and there are multiple components to this. So here you see the model itself. That's actually the smaller item. The big item that you see there, that is the base. That is a model of the extended platform of the landing vehicle, which basically it was kind of a pyramid-shaped thing that wrapped up around the folded-up rover and deployed airbags and just bounced to a stop. There was a little bit of retro rocketry involved at a slightly higher altitude, but then at a certain point, a cable was cut and the thing just bounced onto the surface, protected by basically balloons. Very sturdy balloons. Balloons hardened for this sort of environment with all kinds of rocks and so on. But, that's what an airbag is. It's basically a vastly uprated balloon. And so that base represents the unfolded landing vehicle on top of the deflated airbags. Now, if you're wondering why the rover is not coming out of the packaging, well, there's a trick to that, and I didn't know it until I turned it upside down, actually. But I did keep trying for a little while. So let's fast forward to the part where we actually have it out on the base, and I will show you what the trick was that was keeping it in the styrofoam. There was this was the, I believe that's the cam arm, chemical camera, and as you can see, the solar panels actually fold up, like you see in the diagram on the little screen on the right. They do actually fold up into the landing configuration, more or less. You have the camera mast, which is actually articulated. The head actually, there's some up and down travel to it, that is a feature they totally did not have to do. As you can see, a significantly larger model than Zhurong. Now you see this hole in the bottom, right in the middle? That one, right there. Okay. There was a gigantic bolt through the bottom of the styrofoam that screwed into that hole and keeps the thing from moving. That's, a bolt of significant size. Most of it just to get through the styrofoam. That's actually a pretty neat idea. It keeps the thing from bouncing around during shipping. I don't mind. It's just, there was nothing, I didn't see any kind of instruction or warning that this would be the case, and I just kind of had to figure it out for myself. And yes, you can, the wheels do roll. And whether it's Spirit or Oppie, you can just roll right off the platform. Now, this being a much larger model than Zhurong, which is sitting back, on the right-hand side of the screen, being tiny, the detailing on the Mars Exploration Rover model is significantly greater than it is on the Hot Wheels size items. You do have very similar detailing on the solar panels and the other components of the vehicle, and it's really nice. This was I'd always wanted a Mars Exploration Rover model or toy of some kind, and I did not realize until literally sometime in 2022 when I discovered this was a thing. I did not realize that someone had made one. The detailing is next level because of the size. So, I'm not going to try to compare either of the two that were opened in this show, because there really isn't much comparison. The solar panels are hinged. As I pointed out earlier, you could actually technically fold them up almost into the landing configuration where everything is stowed and it's just hunkered down waiting for the beating to stop that it's receiving from bouncing around on the Martian surface. Now, scale check versus the other rovers. Obviously, we're in a whole different world here. The Mars Exploration Rover could get the rest of these rovers, these Hot Wheels-sized rovers, it could give them a ride. It could roll them for their lunch money. And that's okay. It's a whole different animal from those. And it's also kind of delicate. So, unlike the Hot Wheels size stuff, which is, to a certain extent, it is built and meant to be played with, the Mars Exploration Rover is definitely, it's a sit-up on the shelf thing. It is not a let the kids play with it thing, because it's very delicate. Stuff could break off very easily. I don't even want to think about it. Now, you remember I was telling you that 1/18 scale is a magic number for me, and here's why. Because I'm sure you see in the background, in addition to my clothes dryer, I've got shelves and shelves of, various loose action figures, most of which are Star Wars. And the Star Wars line going all the way back to the original Kenner figures, but carried forward into the current Hasbro Vintage Collection figures, is 1/18 scale. And so that means, oh man, Mars is a rough neighborhood. Look at this. We've already got Jawas trying to strip the Mars rovers for parts. Filthy scavengers. Oh. And so furry. Or at least one hears. So, yes, technically, this model of Spirit and/or Opportunity, whichever one of the Mars Exploration Rovers you want it to be, it's in scale with your Star Wars figures. Or at least it's in scale with my Star Wars figures. I don't think anyone else would think to do this. Probably not, because I am a big fan of crazy mixing and matching of stuff, which you probably remember if you remember the Voyages of Shelf Discovery, where we opened action figures of Godzilla and Johnny Cash in the same show, and immediately handed Godzilla Johnny's guitar. So, there you have it. The Mars Exploration Rovers. And the Zhurong rover from China. Both of them lovely little models in their own way. I am a sucker for models and toys of actual spacecraft, and these two definitely fit the bill.